I was just watching a channel that uploads a lot of really great content. Now, this is a Catholic channel, but even if you're not Catholic, they have a lot of really great content that I think is very enlightening. And you know it's a good channel because they've been demonetized by YouTube, as all the good stuff usually is. So they uploaded a video by the people that run the channel. They upload a lot of sermons, talks, seminars. This is all Catholic based. But this is the first video that I saw that had a lot of comments where people were not happy with this upload. And this is a video, basically, the person doing it, he was watching the Rubin Report and he talked about the guest, Dave Rubin. Now, the video is not about Dave Rubin. It was about what the guest said on the show, and that was what the uploader was trying to teach from. But people were not happy because this is a Catholic channel, and Dave Rubin, if you don't know anything about him, what kind of last name is that? Well, obviously that's not a Christian name. What kind of person is Dave married to? Well, look into it. But anyways, you can see my comment on this. And I pointed out that Dave Rubin rejects because people were criticizing him for watching Dave Rubin, and they're saying, as a Catholic, why would you watch Dave Rubin? Well, here's my comment. I said, Dave Rubin rejects Jesus, and he lives that lifestyle. And I said, if your goal is to become a saint, don't watch certain things because these things have an energy to them. They can influence you, especially when you're in a relaxed state that you get in for entertainment. Things have a positive energy or negative energy. It's our job to be aware of this and be discriminating. I realized this before dedicating myself to the Lord, and that's why I quit watching R-rated movies and HBO shows years ago. And disclaimer, I still watch some, but I cut out about 90% of them. And I said I don't miss the poison going into my mind and into my soul. And now the question is, can you be a Christian and watch Dave Rubin? Well, certainly if you're a person of faith, not everything you have to watch has to be from a Christian. It doesn't have to be all 100% wholesome faith-based entertainment. But the point, as you saw in my comment, is to be discriminating. And this isn't a channel about religion. This is a channel to help you get what you want, either through avoiding certain mistakes or doing certain things. And some of what we talk about on this channel is achieving your goals. And as I've said before, possibly the most important thing to help you achieve your goal is determined by who you hang around with, the type of people you surround yourself. I remember growing up, my brother, he's a very academic type, always one of the top people in the class, and a lot of the people he hung out with were nerds. And my dad wanted him to be a great champion athlete and a great champion wrestler. My brother was good, he was decent, but not to my level. But I remember growing up, my dad said, I wish he would hang out with Jeremy, this kid that was a couple years older than my brother. He was ranked number 1 in the entire nation for his weight class. And my dad was saying, I wish he would hang out with Jeremy or someone like that, because that would rub off on him and that would make him want to become a champion. He would be more interested in doing what you got to do to become a champion like this other guy. Because my dad knew, without putting it in these terms, that energy, that influence is going to influence him. So in achieving your goals, probably the most important thing is who you spend your time with. And almost as important as that is the type of things that you feed your mind. Now, if you want to become some sort of guy with a great physique and really into working out, I don't recommend sitting around and watching a show about a bunch of fat people sitting in a bar drinking alcohol. I recommend watching videos on the internet of people that inspire you, either athletes, bodybuilders, or even watching a movie that could be like a Conan movie, it could be like a Rambo movie, it could be something like that. Watch things that are going to inspire you to actually take the actions and get in the gym. And if you're not, to put this back to the religious sense, even though this isn't a channel about religion, if you don't know, the goal of every Catholic is to become a saint. And sitting around watching Dave Rubin, if you're a Catholic or a Christian, you have to understand that there is an energy coming from that. And things have either a positive energy or a negative energy, and some things, quite frankly, their energy is neutral. And these things, they don't control over us, they don't really have that power over us, but they can influence us. And the point is, you need to be discriminating. You need to use the brain and the instincts, the feelings that God gave you. And it's kind of like Spider-Man, he has that spidey sense. That's a very real thing. We have that in us too. We have these instincts telling us what's best for us, but it's very easy to override that. And there's so many guys that I get, these red-pilled guys, so-called, that complain about women all the time, and they talk about getting divorced, or they ended up with this really bad woman, and or another guy, I'm not trying to mock this guy or slight this guy, but there was a guy that told me there was some girl, she said, "Hey, you live by the bus station, I got to take a bus to another city, can I sleep at your place?" And she slept over, not in his bed or anything, but in the living room. And when he woke up, she left, she was already gone, and his tablet was gone with her, the iPad or whatever they're called. And then he asked to see the security building cameras, and sure enough, she was on security camera, walking right out with his iPad. So you got to use your instincts to be discriminating. Whether it's what type of women you're hanging around with, type of people in general that you're hanging around with, the type of things that you're feeding your mind. And before I ever got religious or anything like that, I just came to a point after getting older where I realized a lot of these things, a lot of the content out there that I was consuming, after watching it, I didn't feel good. And I could have maybe taken the religious route and avoided it that way, but I just learned through experience. And things are so different. I did get a lot of inspiration in the old days from R-rated movies about these, people fighting or whatever, guys having to fight, martial arts movies, action movies. But the movies that I was watching in the 80s and early 90s, they were very different because usually they had a very moral sense of purpose. Even if the hero of the movie was killing sometimes even hundreds of people. Think about Rambo 2, Rambo 3, great movies. But ultimately, the character's a hero. He's doing what needs to be done. And he's sacrificing his own good, his own comfort, his own life, possibly taking a suicide mission to go to a foreign country to either help out POWs or to help out his mentor and when he goes to Afghanistan. So there was a moral purpose, and I took a lot of inspiration from these films. And I see these modern movies, like modern action movies, and they're not the same in many reasons. For one thing, they're not as well done, in my opinion, at least in certain ways. And they got rid of that morality in Hollywood movies. You think of these John Wick movies, and that maybe they're well done movies, but I saw the first one, the character is a hitman, not exactly a moral character, and they're very revenge driven, they're very dark themed, they're very amoral typically, these things. So I don't miss these things. And you have to remember, like I said in my comment, anytime you're consuming entertainment, you get into a very relaxed state, and it changes your brain. And you have to think of it this way. Think of a hypnotist, how he gets you to relax before he puts you into hypnosis, where you're more susceptible to suggestion. That's the whole point of it, and that's the point of a lot of these things. So the moral of this video is, if you're a Christian or a person of faith, I would say, yeah, you can learn from people that are not part of the faith. You can consume their content, but you always have to be aware, and you have to be aware of the energy that these things carry. And for just the general public out there, this is something that's just as important to you based off of whatever your goal is. I don't know what your goals are, what you want to be, do, and have. That's up for you to decide. But like I gave the analogy of, if you want to have this great body, you want to watch the right type of content that's going to inspire you. If you want to be a smart academic person, maybe watch something, science videos or whatever. But you have to always be aware, and most importantly, don't forget to be a discriminating individual. So until next time, my friends.